All right. Welcome to the Truth Bomb Show. This is Jay Scott, aka Crypto Cowboy.
And here's Sandy, the Freedom Faith Warrior.
And here we go with another Truth Bomb. Well, hello, everybody. We are coming today just 2 days after an assassination attempt on a former president and a presidential candidate. And, you know, I talked to Sandy over the weekend. I said, look, I don't know if I want to talk about this. And then I thought, like everybody's talking about it, we have to talk about it. And I know that you're going to, you've got plenty of stuff to see. There's probably nothing we're going to say new, but I do think that it's a good idea for our audience to know what our perspectives are. And I think that was something I thought was important. And we're just going to kind of talk about how we feel, what we see, and what we think about this, because it's a big deal for sure. And so we're just going to go from there.
It's a big deal for us, anyway, in our generation.
Yeah, and in our country, there's lots of countries that look to America, and I'm sure they're shocked, but I don't know, when it happens in your own country. But I'll tell you, a lot of stuff's just gonna come to my head, because I've heard some people say this, and I thought it was kind of interesting and true for me too. It's that unfortunately, this isn't that surprising, right? I mean, there was a lot of talk of this, potentially of this, and as sad as it is for it to really happen, and how close it came to being super tragic, even though somebody would lose their life, and it's tragic. The whole situation is tragic, but I can't even imagine, if he'd have been taken out. So
yeah,
it's
talk about
crazy.
Civil unrest.
Yeah, and I don't think we're out of the woods. I think this is definitely stirred it up. And like I said,
it's a tipping point. It's a tipping point. If you were not one or the other, this tipped you one way or another. And I saw it on my social media. That's how I know it's a tipping point. Is when you see all of your friends chiming in, saying one way or the other, that tells you where we're at as a country. That was a tipping point. And if you weren't convinced of who your candidate was yet, you are today, probably, most likely. And some of us who are in moderates or in the middle, I think it's even given us some perspective on what we might do as far as voting wise.
Yeah.
And so I think, it's just been a crazy couple days. I'm going to go over statistics of assassinations towards presidents and presidential candidates. That's what I'm going to talk about. But I'm also going to talk about, again, what happens when something like this happens politically and with your own friends. Like, I have a lot of friends on Facebook, and I have seen all of their opinions on it. And it makes me cringe, actually. I'm not going to share my opinion on Facebook, because we all have our own opinions. And just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you're going to sway somebody else from theirs. So
oh, really?
I wish everybody would get that
Come on, Sandy.
out of their head.
Let me try to sway you. I mean, it's so funny because I agree with that. And yet, more people do that than not. I mean, it's like the majority of people try to sway other people's opinion.
But see, I've lost a lot of respect for some people and what their opinion is and how they decided to display their opinion. Because I'm with the majority, and it is the majority, what I've seen already, is that you shouldn't wish someone dead. Like, that's not a civil reaction to things, right? Like wishing death on someone is very, very vile.
Yeah, it just puts you in a category. That puts you in a category. Let me just say that,
if you wish that, I don't wish to be your friend. Like if you're wishing that on someone else, and just because someone's done you wrong or you don't agree with them, wishing death for them is pretty extreme. That means
It
you're
is.
an extremist.
Well, it is. Okay, this maybe just made me think of something that's really interesting about the internet, right? I mean, we have all experienced this, where the growth of the internet and the growth of Facebook and all of social media, and what the hell has happened to civility that's gone out the window on social media. So let's just put this incident aside. We all see crazy stuff and trolls and whatever, and it's almost, to the point now where if you're online, you're going to get trolls that say stuff that they wouldn't say to your face.
Not
And
to your face.
so social media, like 5 years ago when it was getting really bad and it was kind of new, that was just like, oh my God, people are saying things that they would never say. And we start learning, and maybe it's longer, and I don't know, 5 years, that, this whole thing about trolls and about this unruly behavior online. Well, now it's normal. Like, it's just normal. But a situation like this that is so shocking, it's like those people, even that it might be normal with a lot of stuff, you should check yourself in a situation like this. And people aren't. They're just like, well, this is the way it is. I'm just going to throw out the stuff on social media, whatever comes to my head. Now, I have to admit it. There's been things that I've thought, like conspiracy theories, things that, I thought, but I'm not going to post this stuff because it's a I don't know, I was going to say not tender moment, but it's a sensitive moment, and just people don't even check that. And I'll tell you, yeah, so I guess that's my thought about the internet and about people just saying stuff.
I want to tie in what we've talked about in the past with what's gone on in the universities and protests and, Hamas against the Jewish people. Those people feel very personal about those things because of war. Like, they're warring right now, and this is almost like a war on our land, right? Like, this is a political war. Theirs is a physical war. Ours is a political war. And people are as polarized about that war as we are, about this situation. And I think that people, they want to be heard. I mean, social media is for people to be heard. That's what they want. They want to, show you their career, their life, their everything. And now they're showing their political stances, and they're showing some ugliness to their feelings, and I don't know. I don't think I could stand up here and show something that I wanted somebody to die, but that goes along with my structure of faith. I saw something that was very, touching, and I agreed with it, honestly. Like, we'll probably talk about, gun violence at some point, or guns at some point, possibly. And I'm on the fence about it. I'm a moderate in that same way. And I agree, they're making a big deal about this assassination attempt. And then, we talk about the school shootings. So it does make us want to look at guns as a whole, and any sort of rights that we have as gun holders, right? So that comes into play in this whole situation. Like,
yeah, that's interesting. Normally, if there's a school shooting or a rampage or a shooting in, like, a grocery store or whatever, that's usually my first thought is some sort of thing about gun control. I don't know why, but that wasn't my first thought on this. And actually, I've heard nobody talk about that. I mean, I have.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it hasn't been the forward narrative, and I don't know why. That's interesting, because usually something like this, there's always a lot of talk about, especially, from the liberals that are really championing
what I've seen,
gun control.
Well, they are talking about it. This is what they're saying. They're saying, this is why we need more gun control. Now you got every one of you that supported, your having gun rights. Now do you see what can happen? And I just read, about this actual, kid, and I say he's a kid because he's only 20.
He's a kid.
He got the AR. It was his dad's. It's been registered for 11 years. So it's been in his household for a long time. and so it wasn't recently purchased. A bunch of ammo was purchased apparently, but that's the thing is it is hard for people. How can you have gun control over things like that? Like, he doesn't have any, both of his parents were behavioral health counselors. I didn't know.
Oh, wow.
That.
No.
And so,
wow.
So, mental health comes into there, right? But
yet
his parents were into mental health, right? So, So then again, you sit there and you go, okay, what was the motivation? It was his own motivation. So people that take these things into their own hands, it's a choice. It's something that they choose. They choose to act out this violence. I mean, that's their choice. And I think you can't predict that. And there can't be a preventative, because I'm sorry, even if there is gun control in this country, there still are going to be illegal gun transactions. Like, that is the problem.
It's just like the drugs.
I mean, right now we got an open border. So, I mean, are they bringing anything over? I don't know. Are they hiding it somewhere and going back to get it? You don't know. You don't know what's happening for real. I mean, we really don't. So, I mean, there's an illegal, there's illegal arms, like how do you control that? You can't. And the same with this, with, mental health screenings and not allowing people to purchase guns because they've, went to a psychiatrist or whatever. I mean, how do you control that? Who's going to control that? Who is going to be monitoring that? I mean, where is the workforce in that? So, I mean, there's lots of variables to it. I do believe that we should do something. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm a moderate. So I believe something should be done, but I also believe that we should have rights to have guns also. And if you're a good upstanding citizen, I think you should be allowed, but so was he. He was a good, on paper, a good upstanding citizen. So how do you screen for that?
So that's an interesting narrative. That's an interesting narrative that will probably play out here, and it always does in these kind of tragic situations. I think the other big narrative that is definitely playing out is the narrative of incompetence on the police / the Secret Service. That's a big narrative that I'm really seeing everywhere. And so let's just unpack that a little bit. Here, let me share my screen and show, this is the stuff that everybody's seen, but it is quite interesting that there's just been, like, I just heard before we came on, this was a guy who, I guess he was in Canada, but he was part of the Secret Service and had done this kind of work before. And he'd spent a lot of time, scouting out locations before a VIP or whatever. And he was kind of talking through how they do it, and they do it days before. And, they're looking all around, they're scouting this all out. And it's just interesting because the snipers were right here up on, these three buildings here. And one thing that I've heard, but I don't see it here and I'm not sure, is that which buildings are higher. It looks like the sniper buildings are higher or taller than the other one, which would mean they would have to have a sight, be able to see that. Of course, you've all heard by now, again, nothing that we're going to say is probably new information, but, just to give, some background, that many people had seen this guy. And it looks like, I don't know if you can see over here, I don't know if you can see my cursor moving, it probably not, but over by where the shooter was, there's a parking lot there with cars. And of course, this is outside of the event. And so one of the big things is that they're talking about the gunman didn't go through security. So it's not like the security of people getting in was lax. This was outside of the perimeter. And but that's really no excuse, because it's clearly 150 yards or 430 feet or whatever is certainly something that you would think that they would check in their perimeters, right? And in fact, what I saw something is that they actually check much larger, because if a professional, and again, I'm just saying stuff that I've heard, so again, I could be wrong or whatever, but because the stuff we're getting from the press could be wrong too, probably is. But a lot of people were saying that a professional would have a scope, and this kid didn't have a scope. He just used, the sight. It was an AR, but it didn't have a scope on it. And that if a professional was doing this, it would have a scope, and you could be almost a mile away with a scope and be able to shoot this. So clearly, they were checking a much larger perimeter than this. So maybe because it was so close, they took their eye off the ball. I don't know. Another thing that is interesting about this is that the head of the Secret Service came on and talked about this. And one of the questions early on that I heard was that, normally a presidential candidate does not get the full Secret Service detail until they become an official candidate, which is at the convention, which is happening right now. And so there was some speculation. Maybe he didn't have a full team, but the head of the Secret Service came out and said that in June, for whatever reason, he got the full team. So he had the full team. He had the full team of officers or whatever. So that, that's out the window now. But still, the other thing that I noticed, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, the footage over and over, but where you see these snipers, this little picture up in the right-hand corner, I saw a lot of video footage of the sound where you could hear the shots, and they were focusing in on those snipers, and you hear the first shot and then 5 more shots or close to that. And then you could almost see that he engaged and shot. But the whole time he was looking through his scope and didn't move it, meaning to me, and again, I'm just speculating here, meaning to me that his eyes were on that shooter before he shot. Before the shooter shot, he had him in his scope before he shot. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know the procedures. I would guess, though, he's probably in his ear. He's got some sort of controller, somebody that's calling the shots, that he probably would have to get the okay. But as soon as the sniper shot, well, and not even as soon, there was 5 or 6 shots, and then apparently the sniper shot him. I don't know what that all means. It's kind of interesting, and I think this is going to be a really big narrative of what happened. Now, what dovetails into that, and I was talking to Sandy before, and I said, look, man, it's almost hard not to go into conspiracy theory. I don't want to really waste time, but there's so many variables around this that, it's hard not to at least touch on some of them. And I don't know if this would be considered conspiracy theory or not, but again, this Canadian sniper guy, or what he was called, but he worked for the Canadian government. He was saying that he just cannot believe that they missed this guy, and sort of again intimating that they had to know, they had to know, and that they purposely, or somebody, I guess I'm trying to say that it's not, this guy's like, it can't be incompetence. This had to be an inside job. I'm just saying. And, it's so interesting because it seems so obvious to us now. And of course, I'm a layperson. Most of us are a layperson. But this guy who's an expert, he's like, even somebody that's not even trained, and you just took them out there and you said, you look around here, where do you think we would need to protect? That they would look and they'd say, oh, here's a building that has a roof that not that far away, anybody would pick that up. So if you buy into that, then you're like, okay, then of course they knew. Then what happened? What was the disconnect? And of course, a lot of people saw this guy. They were pointing.
Yeah, I saw the footage of all that. Like, there's a guy on the roof. There's a guy on the roof. Yeah.
And I think they were probably talking. So here's another question. I think they were yelling to police officers, and you've got local police, right? And then you've got the Secret Service, and they're working together, of course, but they don't train together. They may not even have their same radio systems. They may have to radio, it may not be instant. So I could see there being confusion, like if the cops would, like maybe they heard this guy and they were checking and they didn't even know who to notify. And maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We don't know that, what happened with the local police. And, right now we just know it's confusion, and it looked kind of sloppy because apparently there were some police that were informed before the shooting started. Nothing happened. Yeah.
It's all kind of crazy.
Did you hear? I think I mentioned this before, but I don't know. Did you hear that a local policeman actually climbed up and saw the sniper before? Did you hear that?
I did, and then
because I can't find anything on it. Like today, I haven't seen anything about that. Yeah,
there was an account that he climbed up there and he saw the sniper. The sniper turned and pointed the gun at him, and he fell off the ladder. He fell. He didn't mean to fall. Like he didn't mean to retreat. But he fell. So that's what I heard. But
yeah, and so
that's what I heard.
Right, and so
what do we really know? I mean,
right,
really
but that's a big deal. Like, we need to find out that, like if the cops saw him and didn't shoot him, there was what happened, and how long was it before the cops saw him and the shots started firing?
Yeah, they're going to do an independent. Out of those two services, they're going to do an independent investigation. So we'll see how it all comes out. Because obviously there were lots of missteps, even the way that they. Secured, Trump.
Afterwards
they did that. Yeah, they did. They made some missteps there. So that's under.
That's interesting because again, from a layperson, I looked at it and I thought, oh, they did a pretty good job. I mean, they surrounded him. They did all the stuff.
They didn't. They said they didn't.
Yeah, there must be some technicalities to that
because they let his head come up and then he, fist pumped the guy.
I did hear about that, and one of it was the one woman just wasn't tall enough. I mean, Trump's 6'4". I mean, so I don't know what that says, but maybe you shouldn't have somebody smaller, I guess. But the other thing was here. Okay, so this was interesting.
So that opened up a whole other ball game about like she's ahead of that one, or there's a woman ahead of trying to get diversity into the Secret Service.
Well, she's the head of the Secret Service. She's the whatever, and she's
been recruiting women.
Right.
And now, of course, it's coming. I mean, so this is going to open up a whole nother dialogue.
It does, and
diversity.
And I think that sucks in a way. It's unfortunate. I think it sucks because I'm not a big believer in official DEI or whatever they call it, but it kind of sucks. I think women could be just as good protectors and yeah, it was interesting because you saw all three of them there, three women protecting the car as they got Trump in there. And I just thought, oh, that's interesting. And my first response was
the one drop her gun, right? Like, did you
or
see
she couldn't get it into her holster. I don't know if she dropped it, but
no, I was like, oh my, come on.
Well, I know, but I'm just thinking, a guy could do that. I mean, there was a lot of adrenaline going or whatever, and they did look fidgety. If you look at that shot, like they're looking around, they're putting their sunglasses on and stuff. But I'm like, let's not make that the issue, guys. Come on, that's not the issue. But it's going to come up. It's going to come up.
Already given that that he'd been. But see, here's the thing. They were given that guy was shot and he was down. Right.
But yeah. Well, before they even took him off the stage,
they didn't know if there was more than one at that point, right?
Well, yeah. So, and you could tell they were looking around.
Were really done. Like, right. So even pushing him towards the car or whatever. And of course, I'm really curious about the shoes. But anyway, that's just me.
Well, what's interesting is about that is whether you like Trump or not.
He lost his shoes.
Oh, you know what? I heard that he lost them when they tackled him. Like they tackled him after the shot, and he got bruises. Knocked his shoes off. He had bruises because they hit him so hard. But I mean, that's what you do. And I don't think he would mind at this point. But the thing about whether you like Trump or not, I do think that it's interesting how. You saw how he reacts to this. I think most people that would have been shot would have been blubbering idiots. I know I would have. And Trump pretty quickly, it's like, where are my shoes? I want my shoes. It's like, and then he kind of fought his way. Like you could tell that the Secret Service lady did not want him to kind of pop his head up, but he wanted to he wanted to give the fist and say fight. And for whatever you can say, Trump is certainly a fighter. We didn't really need that to know that, but this is just more evidence that, I mean, he's just like, come on now, fight. It's like he's not backing down. He wasn't disoriented. He was ready to fight. 78, and he's ready to fight.
That was adrenaline. I mean, if you think about it, that's adrenaline after this happening to him, right? So that's the thing, is like, if you were unsure of who you were going to vote for, or unsure of somebody's viability or not, I think, unfortunately, this helped to cement that.
Big contrast. Big contrast. I got to pull up that.
People now are like, I mean, if you were a Trumper before.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this shot.
I don't know how you can go more than MAGA or mega, whatever it is.
Yeah. Look at this shot. This shot's going to go down in history. This is like, could you not ask for any more publicity for what Trump wants? This is the image. Like, if he could pick any image, I'm betting you this is the image he would want to have created.
Insane.
And, all the conspiracy theories about, they staged this or whatever. I mean, come on, somebody died. Somebody died.
Right.
Somebody died.
And two others.
How the hell is he going to get his ear to bleed? I mean, there's just no way. I mean, I have to admit, that was one of my first thoughts went through my head. And I'm like, no. I mean, somebody died. I mean, whatever you say about Trump, I really don't think, he wouldn't be up for this. But
he would not.
Dang, look at this image. I mean, just says Trump all over the place. Like, fight. Oh my God.
I know. I mean, this just adds to the whole thing, and that's what I mean. It's almost like it's polarized people even further.
We knew it was coming. I knew that we knew it was coming. I didn't. Who knew what it was going to be?
They did predict this.
Oh yeah,
I have heard it before that somebody was going to try to take him out.
Well, either side. I wouldn't have been surprised if it had happened to either candidate. I really wouldn't have.
Think Biden. And just on record, I think Biden's speech after this happened, I really respected him for that. So that's what I mean. I agree. Probably had a skewed, opinion of his, how he felt about Donald.
Donald, he kept calling him Donald, yeah.
But I thought that was it was a good speech. So whether you liked Biden before, you didn't, I think it made you like him a little bit more, even. Right. Because
he did even more. He suspended his campaign, which even says more. I mean, he didn't have to, and he was the one. He said, "Look, I'm going to suspend all campaigning," and I haven't heard if it's going to be through the convention or whatever. But usually during the convention is when the other side pushes their ads big time. So it's kind of a big deal that Biden did that. We'll see what comes of it.
And that's what I mean. It's like, for both sides, I think this has really pushed you one way or another, I think. Like I said, I didn't like the way that he was, talking so terrible about, the other candidate for a while. And, he wasn't really making much sense there for a little while. But I think that speech made me go, oh, okay. Respectful. I liked that. So that's what I mean. It's like this has really helped people to see both sides kind of also. And I don't think it, but everybody is on a conspiracy theory, train.
Oh yeah.
Like you're on one or the other now, Trump set it up, or they said it was an inside job, who knows? We don't know. And honestly, doesn't matter if you do know. Is it going to change your vote? Is it going to change your mind? Is it going say you knew. Are they going to disqualify one candidate or the other? I mean, what's going to happen?
I don't know. Depends on what you say, what you mean by what if you knew. If we knew that one side or the other set it up, yeah, it would disqualify them. We'll never know, or maybe not. Like even JF, what?
They'll cover that. I'm just saying.
Oh, they'll cover it up.
Will be covered up.
So we won't ever know
the truth, but they're really good.
Well, we'll never know. We'll be the last to know. That's why. One thing we know about Truth Bomb is that we're the last to know.
We're always the last to know. So I want to put some statistics out here on the number of assassinations and attempts on U.S. presidents from 1835 to 2024. So there have been 4 presidents assassinated. Now, Scott, do you know which ones?
No, I
Okay.
do not.
I just
I'm really
wondered. Okay. Presidents shot but survived is 3.
okay. I know that one. Let me think. Teddy Roosevelt, Reagan. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? What's the third one?
No, I'll go through it in just a second. But
Okay.
I just wanted to, presidents unharmed but others killed and injured is 3. Nobody harmed except for the culprit is 4. So that's a lot from 1835 to 2024. I mean, that's quite a few. So when you get into wanting to be president, you have to know that that is a potential, right? When they step into the race, they have to know that that is actually something that could happen to them. So let's see.
I'm trying to guess again.
Okay.
Kennedy, both Kennedys. That's 2. They
Right.
died. So I'm missing one.
Robert was a candidate. He wasn't
Right.
yet.
Right.
He was just getting to be a candidate.
Oh, so there's
And
still
then-
4 presidents. Yeah. Okay. He was a candidate.
Right, so I'll go through this. So Abraham Lincoln, of course, you know the story on that one, right?
Yeah.
John
Missed that one.
Booth. Okay, then we've got James Garfield, the 20th president. He was the second president to be assassinated 6 months after taking office. He was walking through a train station in 1881. Okay. And then do you know who succeeded him? Which is really crazy because you know how we always count all the presidents, right? But we never count the presidents that became in office after they're assassinated. Chester Arthur. Do you remember that name at all?
No, but I do remember. Do we count? Well, we do. We count Johnson. Let's see. Johnson came after. Do we count Johnson? Because he came after Nixon, and he, yeah. When Nixon.
Chester Arthur wasn't.
Yeah, I never heard of him.
Yeah. So William McKinley, the 25th president, he was shot after giving a speech in Buffalo. He was shaking hands with people. A man fired 2 shots into his chest. What's interesting, let's see, he was succeeded by Theodore Roosevelt. That was his vice president. Okay. So then Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd president, was assassinated. Had given a speech in Miami. Roosevelt was not injured in that killed Chicago.
Yeah, FDR. Yeah, he wasn't assassinated.
No.
He died natural causes.
Harry S.
Truman
was not injured, but a White House policeman and one of the assailants were killed.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't know that. I don't remember
Yep.
that.
John F. Kennedy was assassinated, of course. Gerald Ford had 2 assassination attempts within weeks and wasn't hurt on either.
Oh, I do not remember that. I mean, I don't remember that from
Charles
history.
Manson disciple.
Oh, wow. Wow. So that would have been in the
both of them were
70s,
women.
right?
Both
70s.
of them were women
Huh.
that tried
Interesting.
to shoot him. Okay. And then Ronald Reagan, of course, we saw that one. He was
Yeah.
actually shot, right?
Yep.
John Hinckley Jr. George W. Bush. He was attending a rally in Tbilisi with Georgian president when a hand grenade was thrown towards him. Did you know that?
Oh, wow. I don't remember that. Huh.
And the guy that was convicted was Vladimir Artunian,
Wow.
right?
There's a
Theodore
lot of
Roosevelt.
history.
He was the former president, was shot in Milwaukee while campaigning. Let's see. Folded papers in a metal glass case in his pocket apparently blunted the bullet's impact and was not seriously hurt. Of
Wow.
course, Robert F. Kennedy. He was a presidential candidate. Okay, so hold on one second for me. Had a little cough going on there. So,
There's a lot of history, you know. This rocked our world,
Sirhan, yeah.
but there's a lot of history.
George C. Wallace was a presidential candidate. He was seeking a Democratic nomination when he was shot during a campaign. It left him paralyzed from the
I
waist
do remember
down.
him. I do remember that because I remember him walking, you know, with a cane or whatever afterwards.
and that was that about all that. So, I mean, this is not uncommon. I mean, I hate to say it's not uncommon, but it's not.
No, it's not. But it's weird
In
because
our generation.
when's the
Yes.
last time let's see, was it Reagan?
Yeah.
So Reagan's the last time anybody
No, Bush, George Bush.
I don't remember that. So he wasn't injured or anything like that, right?
No, a grenade was thrown at him though.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But yeah, so since Reagan, so for most people, that's why this is so new and so shocking. Yeah. So, but I'll tell you, like I said, I just knew. I just knew that this election was going to be crazy. It's so now officially totally crazy, and we are not done. And oh my God, what can happen now? I don't even want to think about it. But yeah.
No, we don't. We don't.
Well, I don't know. I think we sort of covered. Is there anything else that you want to kind of bring up?
I just am going to ask that people, I mean, wishing death on someone else is just not, I mean, that's a heart issue. If you are wishing death on someone you don't know this person, like you don't really know this person. This is a presidential candidate, or the president. If you're wishing death on either, I wish for you to introspect your life as to why you would wish death on somebody. That's such a curse. Like that is not that's not any civility whatsoever.
It's just not okay. It's not okay on social media. It's just not okay on social media. And people think that, it's just social media. No, it's not okay. And we need to, like, there's people I follow, and a few of them are calling for, let's use this as an example so we can say, hey, we need to chill out. Like it's gotten out of hand. Come on now, let's get some unity here to a certain degree. And then the other people I follow are going off. People are like, okay, now it's war. Like, I'm like, no. And that is certainly not, that's why we want to come out and talk about it.
Greatest nation. How can this be the greatest country if we continue to fight against each other? I mean, that's the problem. It's like we are fighting against one another, and that is just not good. We're never going to have peace and unity if we continue this trajectory.
Let me riff on that a little bit. Going back to one of the premises of Freedom Life 3.0 is to put out awareness that the mainstream media is not our friend. And they're portraying it. They stoke this, right? So first we have to understand that.
Big news.
And
big news.
They'll do this on everything. So this is big news. They're going to stoke this, and the more they can get us riled up, the better. So let's just understand that. Like we are being played. We're being played by the media. Okay. And then there is this global elite that, is hard to pinpoint who they are, whatever the they is or whatever. But to me, I'm always going back to, the world has got a lot of issues going on. And I don't think that any individual government even is calling all the shots. So we've got our political issues, and we're all wrapped up in our campaigns and for president now, and we should be. But there's forces above all that are not our friends either. If you think about the global elite, the people in power, whether some are good or bad, there are people that want to stay in power. How can they stay in power? By causing us to be divisive, to fight each other so that they can come to the rescue in one way or the other. So, let's just go back to that. So we're being played. Don't buy into it. And if you think, like, why are you putting that on social media? Like, what is it doing? It's feeding into this.
My topic about the Antichrist, right? They even brought the Antichrist thing into this because in Revelations in the Bible, it talks about the Antichrist is going to get a head wound and then come back to life, and then bring peace to the nations. Okay.
Oh boy.
he did not die from this. Okay, so can we just set that straight, everybody? The Antichrist supposedly is going to come back to life. But he didn't die when he was down there. Just saying.
Just saying.
So I just saw that. Oh, see, he's the Antichrist, like we said. So I mean, you could be extreme and think anything. Your perception and your paradigm is your reality. And if you guys don't understand that and can't get out of your own head, then you could make up anything you want.
And it's just not. It just doesn't help, guys. You know, it's just like be part of the solution. Don't be part of the problem.
Yes.
I mean, you know, look inside, and if you just have this rage or whatever, it's not going to alleviate your rage or whatever. Maybe your life sucks. Maybe there's some bad things going on in your life. Okay, go inside. Go to your family. Work it out. Don't take it out. You know, out on social media or whatever. And I know this doesn't help.
Not your platform. If you want to talk about all of these things, talk with like-minded people like yourself and stay in peace about it. I mean, you guys can converse with each other.
That's right.
But please, for the love, do not bring it onto social media because, you know, it's not going to
That's
help.
our new crusade.
It's not going to help.
That's our new crusade, man. It's like down with social media, like leave it out of social media. Oh my God. What an uphill battle that fight would be.
Well, it's a fight for me to read something and not go, you know?
Right.
And then I go, nope, is this kind? Is it loving? And is it going to help? Nope. Okay, I'm done. You know, then I don't post whatever it is. I
might catch up to you. Sandy, you know, has a lot more friends than I did, or at least she used to. Maybe I'm catching up.
I may have unfriended a few.
You may have unfriended a few.
I may have.
Well, folks, so be kind out there. Let's chill out because this is getting everybody's nerves on edge. I can tell you that my first reaction again after this was I don't want to watch this anymore. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to talk about it. I did a long meditation yesterday. I needed it, but I feel it's important, you know, to give our perspective. You know, we're a show that's out there. We're here every week. So here's our perspective. So be kind out there.
Yes. And from my perspective, please pray for our country. Pray for our leaders. Pray for other countries. Pray for their leaders. We all need to pray. Sit back, like you said, meditation. Sit back and pull some peace into your environment, into your atmosphere, and that will help a lot. So.
It will. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.